Sounds podcast. My name is Lynn and I'm coming to you from Cardiff in Wales in the UK, and this is a knitting, spinning, sometimes crochet, sometimes dyeing, but always fibre-based podcast. Oh, excuse me. Talking of fibre, I already got fibre down my throat. Yes, it is. I have no idea what day it is. I think it is a Wednesday. I think it is around the 21st of July, I think. I don't normally podcast in the week, but I have a day off from work today. So I thought I would get this one done, as I have been quite absent for the last, I think, 4, maybe even 5 weeks. So if you are a regular viewer, thank you so much for sticking with me. Excuse me. Even though I haven't been around for a month. Nothing is wrong, nothing has happened. I really haven't had the time to sort of knit and spin, and certainly not to podcast and edit, etc. So I do apologise for my absence, but thank you for coming back if you are a regular or returning viewer. And if you are a new viewer, hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Like I say, it's been a bit of a gap in podcasting, but thank you for all those people who sent me a message, just checking in, asking if I was okay. So I really appreciate that. And as I say, nothing awful has happened. I've just been busy, but nothing major either, just bitty things that were busy at the weekend, because I normally podcast at the weekend, or busy in work, or not having the time, or being away. You know what it's like, life. That is what has happened over the last month or so. So I've got some bits and bobs to show you. Some knitting and some spinning, not a great deal. And I don't know where you are in the world, but in the UK it is baking at the moment. We've had about 3 days of a heat wave, so the temperature has been around 29-30 degrees Celsius, which I know for some parts of the world is not much at all, but here it is a lot. So yes, we are not used to it. No air conditioning, don't have a fan, so my hair has gone frizz-tastic. I am glowing my little heart out. Yes, so I do apologise if I look dishevelled and sweaty. It is what it is. And I say that, and I do have a hot cup of tea, but isn't that supposed to cool you down? I think so. I hope so. I'm trying my best. And the other thing to say is, if you are a regular viewer, is that we're in a different space at the moment. So I don't know if it's really echoey. I'll only hear that once I've started to edit. So if it is, I do apologise, but this is probably where I'm going to end up podcasting now. I am in my craft room. And if you are here, you know how long it's taken me to kind of place those ideas about having a craft room. It's also my office, my work office, because I do a lot of work from home, or have done this year, as we all have. But yes, so a little bit of a craft room, and I'll give you a bit of a tour later, and I'll also kind of catch up on what I've been up to at the end of the podcast in a bit of chatter. But what do I have to show you in terms of fibreriness? Yes, like I say, some spinning, some knitting, and I do have a bit of crochet to show you, which is quite odd. Not the crochet, and I'll explain later. Anyway, so yes, knitting has been quite limited, but I have made some progress on my Zweig sweater. I'll put all the details of everything below, put all the links to the patterns, etc. But a lot of these are patterns that you've all heard about, I'm sure. But yes, this is my Zweig sweater. I am doing it out of a skein of yarn. This coloured skein of yarn is by Fru Valbourg, and the green is dyed by myself. So it is a high twist merino, as those of you that have been here a while will recollect. So yes, I have finished the body. It's, oh hang on, it's turning up a bit at the bottom. Wait a second. I need to make sure I fold it properly when I put it back in the project bag, but it will block out. Okay, so yes, so I have finished all the way to the bottom, can you see? And I've added a little row of sort of the triangle-y pyramid bits from here down there, because I've got a little bit of this coloured skein left over. So I'm really pleased. It feels really soft. It's a merino high twist. It is done on 3.25 milliliter needles, I was going to say then. Millimeter needles. And I had to go down a needle size, as I've said before. And the fabric on it, the reason why I went down a needle size was because the fabric that was being created on the needles, on the 3.5 needles, was a little bit too loose, a little bit too open. And I thought, because it's superwash, it is probably going to stretch. So I went down a needle size, and whilst it's a much better fabric, I still think it's going to stretch, which is fine. It's quite a loose, oversized sort of sweater anyway, but I am prepared for it to kind of get a little bit stretchy and to stretch a little bit. So I'm just on the sleeves. I did go down a sleeve size, so I made sure that when I picked up underneath for the extra stitches, when I came back onto the needles, that I did the size down. And having tried it on, that was absolutely the right thing to do, because the armhole was quite big, and I was very aware that it was going to all of a sudden kind of get really, really stretched and oversized if I went to the original sized arm. So I have gone down a size in the armhole. But yeah, ticking away on it. But in this heat, anything sort of fibrey in the hands is quite tricky to work with, isn't it? But I will crack on with these sleeves, and I look forward to wearing it. I love, love, love this crazy skein of yarn. I think it's called Borderline. And even though it's quite busy, you can still see the texture really of that yoke, which I really, really like. So yes, this is my second Zweig. I really like my first one. I've worn it a lot, but it has got really pilly now at the moment. I did that out of merino single, so automatically there is that sort of pilliness, bobbliness. This is high twist, so it shouldn't pill as much, but like I say, there's definitely the stretch factor because of the needle size and the type of fabric that's been created. But yeah, so that's the first thing I've been ticking along at. Those of you that have been here a while will know that I'm also working on the Snaffled shawl by Fibre Tales, and that is out of some hand spun. And I haven't really done anything on that because it's out of, is it Shetland, or I know it's Norwegian, and I think it's Shetland wool. I can't remember. It doesn't really matter, other than to say it is really, really sticky in the hands when you are hot. So I haven't really picked that one up, to be honest. So maybe once the summer starts to die down, I'll pick that one up. It all seems a bit weird anyway, working on a totally cozy shawl in the summer. It's quite weird, isn't it? Does your summer knitting crochet mojo go a little bit? Mine always does, although I have been spinning more than I do ordinarily. It's new to me anyway, but I have kind of been reaching for the spinning wheel rather than the knitting bags at the moment. Don't know why that is. Tour de Fleece, of course, but yes, having done more spinning lately. So that's one project that is on the go. Another project that I have finished, where have I put that now? Oh, here. And the reason why I laugh, I'll show you in a second. So yes, I fancied a pair of leg warmers. So I have finished my leg warmers out of opal, just a normal sock yarn. I think I did them on a 2.5. So when and if I get some boots now in the autumn and winter, I will have a pair of leg warmers. Embrace the 80s, I say. Let's bring it back. So yes, what to say there? I did 64 stitches because originally I was going to do socks, and then got halfway along and was like, no, I'm going to do leg warmers. I've been banging on about doing leg warmers for ages. So that is what I did. And on the bottom, I did the Judy's, is it Judy? Yeah, Judy's surprisingly stretchy bind off. Because I know if I wanted to put it over my boots, then the bottom needs to sort of be bigger than the top. And it really is surprisingly stretchy. So I recommend that. I'll put a link to the video, the YouTube video below. It's a really handy bind off actually. It gives you lots of space. When would you use it? Probably not on the bottom of sweaters and things like that. Maybe on a neckline, I guess, if you wanted it nice and loose and open. Certainly on kids' clothes, maybe that would be quite useful. But yes, so these two are my leg warmers. I haven't sewn in the ends yet or blocked them, but they are finished. So that is a finished project, really. In the law of knitting, that is a finished project. And then the reason I laugh is I've just finished quite a major spin, which I'll talk about in a second. But I've realised that this is the spin I've just finished, and look what a match it is with these socks. I mean, I just picked them both up to put them on the table to podcast, and it's like I could have almost knitted these out of this. Quite bizarre. So yeah, a very similar colour palette there. Hey ho. But yes, so those are my leg warmers. Tuck those away, ready for autumn and winter. Excuse me, I'm really dry today, so I'm going to have another slurp of tea. What else then? I'll do oh no, there's another knitting project as well that I'm doing. So part of the reason that I haven't podcasted, which I'll talk about a little bit later as well, but is that we have bought a camper van. Not a new camper van. I wish it was a new camper van, but no, it's a very, very old camper van, but it's new to us. So how long have we had it now? About 3 weeks, I think. So we have been away in it as much as we can, just to kind of get used to using it, etc. But we've always kind of had camper vans or have gone camping, things like that. So I'm very aware that of an evening, very often you'll need a nice cozy pair of socks. So I have gone through my stash and found, I've got quite a bit of this left actually. This is Debbie Bliss Mia. And I don't know if they still do this. It's a long time ago now, but it's a wool cotton mix. It's a double knitting. It's 50% wool, 50% cotton. And it is lovely. It's really light but cozy. I've done quite a few blankets in this, and they wash really, really well. I think I've got a couple of sweaters in it as well. But it's a really lovely kind of middle season yarn. So I thought, well, that would be great for camping socks, camper van socks or whatever, because you don't want them woolly, because it can be quite warm, and you don't want them just cotton because it's nice to have a bit of stretch in them. So yes, I've been working through some of this stash. So I found the brightest colour I could in my box of Mia. And yes, so I'm just doing, I think it's a 3 by 1 rib, double knitting, as I say, 3.5mm circular needle. I'm going to do contrast heels and toes because I've got quite a bit of this, like I say, in different colours. Afterthought heels and toes. And what was I going to say? I was going to say 3.5 double knitting. No? Oh, I think that was it. Yeah. So yes, I've been ticking away at those, and I've literally just kind of cast one on. Or maybe it was the stitches. 54 I think I did. 54 stitches. To make us both a couple of pairs of camper van socks, and they can kind of stay in the van then. Obviously we will wash them, but I kind of have a bag of washing that kind of gets washed and then just put in the van bag to go back in the van. So yes, that's the only other project that I have been working on really. A couple of things hibernating at the moment because they're quite sticky in the hands. Yeah. So knitting wise, that's about it. Now then, before I get on to spinning, crochet wise. So when I was sorting out this room, getting all my kind of knitting stuff sorted to go into this craft room, and I've done a little bit of a tour. If you are at all interested, and I'll put it on the end of this podcast. There was a few project bags that I had forgotten about, and I was really good. I did do quite a lot of sorting. And I went through those project bags, and you know when they've kind of been tucked away and you're not quite sure what project is in there to start with, but you're also not sure whether there's going to be any spiders in there or any moths, or so you kind of go in quite cautiously. And the fact that we all have masks now was brilliant because it was really dusty, so it was great. I was masked up. I had my rubber gloves on just in case there was like a massive spider. There wasn't, and kind of went through quite a bit. A few projects I threw away. I rescued the yarn that I could and kind of gave that to charity, but I was like, it's weird when you look back actually, isn't it? And you think my tastes and my project choices have really changed. So quite a lot of the stuff, it was like, I have no interest in finishing this. I don't like the yarn anymore. I don't like the pattern. I don't like the colours. So it's just no point sitting there with that guilt and that little voice saying, what about me in the project bag? It's gone, they've gone. So that was quite good. The fact that I was able to recycle quite a lot of that yarn and stuff anyway was good. There was a couple of projects that I pulled back. Still like the yarn, not such a fan of the project. And then there was one bag that I had no recollection about. So this was the bag. Oh, there's a nice little sandwich bag. Quite pretty. No idea. So I opened it up, voila. And it is full of a nice little organised bag of Berger de France, and I think it's ideal to you and I, but in French, ideal, which is sort of, if I remember rightly, it's sort of sport weight really. Quite a few colours left in there, still nothing, you know, those moments where you go, ah, nope, not at all. And then I opened the bag further. Oh, curious, I thought. Just wait till you see this. Hello. Hexagons in a little parcel. Hang on. Yeah. And another one. A little hexagon parcel. Different pattern. Haven't opened them, not sure. Oh yeah. So, what's that about? That. Now I do now have a sort of a vague recollection of possibly one of those, you know, they were quite popular for a while, those sort of hexagon a week, square a week, blah 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 blankets. What is this about though? This organising of the hexagons into neat little parcels. Oh, there's a spare one there. No idea, but whoever that was, fair play. That is somebody with too much time on their hands, I think you'll find. Oh, to have that amount of time to be able to do all that business. So I couldn't throw that away. Sorry for the crinkling. So I'm going to have to now find some time to put that together and open up those little parcels. I didn't open them up because I wanted to show you. Yeah, and it's very odd. That's very odd. And now I kind of open it up and I have this like vague tethered link to something that is one of those hexagon a week things, crochet alongs. But yeah, that's funny, but I do not remember ever putting little parcels together. But I think, you know, sometimes when you're drunk, not that I was drunk when I did that, but I don't know if you remember, obviously it's a long time since I was drunk now, but where you kind of do really weird things in a sort of a tidying way. I always, if on the rare occasions that I've been drunk, I always used to wake up and my clothes would be really nicely folded or put away, or I'd have, you know, completely cleansed my face and lined up my cleanser and just really weird stuff. So I hope I wasn't drunk when I crocheted those, but it's that sort of vibe, an organised vibe that I do not remember. So that was quite a nice little trip down to down memory lane into a very organised Lynn of the past. But yes, I will, when I have time, open that out properly and see how big a blanket it might be. It might only be a little rug what's it called? A lap-size blanket. But it might be quite useful in the van actually. A little cozy evening blanket. Anyway, whatever. So yeah, that was quite an interesting find. So I have had a little bit of crochet to show you, but it is of a different world, I think. So yes, moving on to spinning. Like I said, I have done a bit more spinning lately, and I don't know if I've even shown you my e-spinner. I think I might have. I've got an Ashford Kiwi 3, for those of you that are new. Had that for about 18 months, 2 years now, I think. And then in the spring, maybe January, February time, I think, I can't quite remember, I took the plunge and bought an e-spinner, which I really, really enjoy. I really enjoy working on both of them and do work on both of them regularly. But I have, it kind of, the e-spinner sort of revived my spinning mojo, to be honest. So I've been trying to keep a traditional spinning project on the go and an e-spinning project on the go. So for my e-spinner, I have been spinning up some Fibre by Nellie and Eve. I was part of her fibre subscription for a good few months, so I've got some banked stuff that is so, so pretty. And these are two of the skeins that I have done on the e-spinner. So these lovely soft yellows. This is quite a daffodil yellow, and this is almost maybe like a cream, a nice thick creamy. They're coming out a little bit yellower on the screen, but yeah. So they're 2 plies, and this is how big they are, sort of in the bat. So they're different bats. So these 4 colours were part of a spring subscription. I think it was March, to be honest. So yeah, so these were, that's actually green. It's coming out as a bit brown, but then I suppose in this room, because these are quite green walls, so maybe it looks a bit greener over here. Yes, so this is what I had in the March, I think it was, subscription. So I've been doing them on the e-spinner. They haven't been washed yet, because I've got a few skeins to wash up, to soak rather. So those 2 will go onto the e-spinner now over the next couple of days, although we are going away for a few days again, so maybe I'll take the e-spinner with me. That's what it's for. We'll see. I'm not sure I'll have enough time. Anyway, so yeah, so that's what I've been doing on the e-spinner. And then this glory, did I do this on the e-spinner? Yes, I did. I did. This is what sort of reinvigorated the whole spinning thing, because this is from Rolags, from Fellview fibres, and I'll put a little picture in of what they look like in their original form. Such a beautiful array of colours, and yes, this is what it has worked up as. So it should be a self-striping, and I was really, really keen to kind of keep the colours separate and do a self-striping yarn, so I chain plied it. Now, I didn't chain ply it on the e-spinner. I was too scared. People were very, very generous, and they were like, it'll be fine, just make sure you turn it down really slow and make sure your hands are, but no, I was too scared because I am not very good at chain plying. So I wanted to be able to have a bit more control and do the wheels, the treadle of the wheel, you know, when your hand kind of gets a bit confused, that you can do it that way. So yes, I did take my time on the wheel, and I'm glad I did, because by the end of it, my chain plying is now much, much better. It's 100 grams, and yeah, it's glorious. I haven't given it a soak yet. I will do all these new bits and bobs together. But interestingly, well, I think it's interesting anyway, as I did the Rolags one by one onto one bobbin, I knew I wanted to chain play it, as I said, because I didn't want the colours to mix. But I watched I don't know if you're a spinner, I don't know if you watch this as well, but the Welford Pearls, I'll put the links below. Rachel Smith of Welford Pearls, she has a podcast, and it's so, so interesting if you're a spinner. I've watched it for a long time, actually, off and on, even before I was a spinner, and there's just something quite fascinating about all the terms they use, and you can kind of geek out on all this really, really complicated stuff, and a lot of it just goes whoosh over my head because I'm not an experienced spinner at all. But the more you do and the more you play, the more starts to make sense when you're watching the podcasts. But anyway, she was talking about how when you spin onto a bobbin and then you take those two bobbins and you either ply them together or you chain ply them, you're sort of working backwards, because if you've been smoothing your fibres this way and then this is the bit you end up with, and then you start plying or chain plying the other way, you're sort of working upstream, as it were. So what she tends to do often is to, once she's finished a bobbin, she'll then re-bobbin it onto another bobbin, so that you're starting from the beginning again. So whatever you're doing, you're starting from the beginning and the fibres have been smoothed in the same way that you're plying them together. So that I thought was really interesting, and that is what I did. But what I found is that when I started with the blues, it's a lot thinner than when I finished and I was over in the purples. So the chain ply is thinner at the beginning than at the end. Not massively, and I think overall, if I find something in the middle like the reds, I haven't soaked it yet, as I say. I think, what are we looking at? Maybe 14 wraps per inch, something like that. Yeah, around there, 14 wraps per inch maybe. Yes, so it is slightly different in terms of thickness. As I say, not massively, but it was also, as I was chain plying it, in the blues and greens that I started off with, it would very often snap, and you know what a faff that is when you're chain plying, because you kind of haven't got the ends and I don't have enough hands and whatever. But then as I got further along the skein, the bobbin, it was a lot easier because I'd obviously relaxed a little bit, and the single ply was a little bit thicker, so it managed to pull from the bobbin a lot easier. So yes, very, very pleased with that. What's it going to be, you ask? I don't know. I have no idea. I think when it's in a cake as well, it's going to look amazing. So maybe I'll just cake it up and put it in a jar and look at it. Maybe that's what I'll do. No, I have no idea. I think it would look lovely in a yoke, maybe, because you've got this stripe. It's 100% merino, so not really sock-tastic in terms of being hard wearing. A shawl maybe, a cowl maybe, because I think 100 grams might not be enough for a cozy shawl, but might well be enough for a nice squashy cowl, and then you'll be able to see that stripe. I don't know, maybe maybe a yoke would be nice. Whatever, but lots and lots of learning in there, from going downstream rather than upstream to the chain plying, which I feel so much more confident about now. And I think this has probably taken me about a year to pluck up the courage to chain ply. I had a bit of problem with the merino in the first place. I found it really slippy in my hand, but once I had the Espinner, that seemed to be a lot easier. Yeah, so lots of learning curves on that, which is always lovely, isn't it, when you kind of see either a project that you have used techniques you wouldn't use ordinarily before, or you have learnt a new stitch in your crochet pattern, or you have learnt to be a little bit more consistent in your spinning. Anything like that is really quite special, because it demonstrates that, you know, there is a skill, there's a massive skill in all this stuff we do. And sometimes we don't give ourselves credit for what we know and what we learn from project to project. So that's great to be able to celebrate those successes, because as adults we often think that we don't really learn much anymore. We kind of know what we need to know, and there we are. And that is never the case in any sort of craft, is it? And it never should be in life either. But yeah, it's nice to see a project that you know that you have made some huge discoveries on. So that's been a really nice one. What else? Yes, so other spinning. So that's the project that I did, or the two projects I've been doing on my Espinner. And then on my Kiwi 3, which I've been using for Tour de Fleece, has been a spin, and this is a John Arbon Textiles fibre. It's called Appledore, and the shade is, oh, I can't remember, I'll put it down below. It's coming up a bit red, there's a lot more white in this, it's very light. So yeah, this is my second bobbin of that, and I'm just about to, I think I've got 2 more nests of fibre to do before I'm going to ply a bobbin together, and then I've probably got the same amount again. Excuse me. I think I've got about 400 grams in total, and I'm pretty sure I've done about 200 grams. So yes, that's been a nice easy spin, and as always with John Arbon Textiles, really, really easy to spin from. So the preparation is so lovely. But yeah, quite jolly little colours there. So like I say, this is the second bobbin. The other bobbin is finishing up on my wheel at the moment. I'll probably have another go at that tonight, I think. See if I can finish up those last couple of nests so that it's ready to ply together. Yes. So in terms of fibre-y stuff, that is definitely it. Yeah, again, apologies for the delay in service. But thanks for all those people that kind of dropped me a message. It's really nice to hear from you. And yeah, so if you are finished with the fibre-y stuff, I'll put a little link here to something else to have a little look at if you're interested. But in terms of life, wow, what has been going on? Well, where are we? July time, so working in the university, teaching in the university, yeah, that kind of gets busy around end of May, June time, because all the students are finishing up with their dissertations and their final assessments, etc. So it's a busy assessing and marking time. And then of course you have to start planning for the following year. So that has been ticking away, and trying to take some annual leave. So that's what we've been trying to do. Family as well, managed to get the craft room finished, and like I say, I'll put a little video in on the end of this. My son is home after his 3 years in university, which is crazy. So yeah, it's really weird to have another person in the house again, and then my daughter will be home on Sunday just for a little while, and then she's going back to her university digs. Even though she's finished, I think they are planning to stay on for a while in Winchester. Her and her friends, because yeah, they've had a pretty rotten year, 18 months, haven't they, with the restrictions and COVID, etc. They haven't kind of, what was her phrase? She said, I just don't feel I'm done, which I get. So we'll see what happens there. But obviously she'll have to get a job if she needs to stay there. So we'll see. And then what else? Yes, we bought this camper van, and I haven't really, I've got some bits and bobs of footage, but I thought maybe I will do a separate little vlog if anybody's interested, just have a little tour around the van and whatnot. So we've been to a couple of places now, but those first trips in a camper van is always about, oh gosh, what's going to go where, how do you pack it all up, and what does this switch do, and if we turn the water on, does the fan come on, and now the battery doesn't work, and so yeah, it's been a couple of weeks of trying to work out how it all works, and now I think we're pretty much sorted. So we went off to Crickhowell, which is in Mid Wales, that sort of area, for a few days. We've been down West Wales by the coast for a few days, and then tomorrow we're going to see my daughter in Winchester for a few days, so that's around the New Forest area. So we'll have a few days there. So it's so lovely, we're so lucky, and like I say, it's a battered 20-year-old camper van, but it suits us down to the ground. It's very slow, which is great because you can't race anywhere, whatever, and it's just so nice to sort of rock up somewhere nice, pop the kettle on, have a cup of tea, which is so relaxing and such a treat after being confined for such a long time. So yeah, we're really lucky to be able to do that. So now, as the time away in the van isn't so much taken up with what goes where and this is broken and I don't know how to open this window things, and can be a little bit more pop the kettle on, get the knitting out sort of stuff. So that is the hope for the rest of the summer, that we get to do a few days here and there away, weekends away, Yeah, so that we can enjoy some time away from these four walls, which I'm sure you can all relate to, isn't it, at the moment? Yeah, so nothing very exciting, I'm afraid, but there we go. That's life at the moment, and that suits me quite fine. Nothing else to say really on that, other than I will hopefully post a bit of a camper vanny vlog thing soon. I've got bits and bobs of footage, but I need to edit those bits together. So I hope you guys are well. I hope your projects are keeping you busy and keeping you happy. Let me know what you're up to, as always, and I will hopefully catch up with you more regularly again. So hopefully in a couple of weeks now I will have a bit of an update on some bits and bobs, and I'll catch up with you all soon. Okay, take care of yourselves, and I will speak to you soon. Hoi bow pow, bye. So here's a little tour of the craft room. So yes, this was my little night light when I was a baby. This is a little box I picked up when we were on holiday in Devon. So some stitch markers and things in there. But yeah, it's a really nice, calm room. We will be having a wood burner in there at some point. My work desk.